Chapter 1. The Birth of the Legend. Long ago, in the distant reaches of time, there was said to be a great and powerful city, a place so magnificent that it captured the imagination of scholars, explorers, and dreamers for thousands of years. This city, known as Atlantis, is described as an advanced civilization that thrived in peace and prosperity, before mysteriously disappearing into the depths of the ocean. But was Atlantis a real place? Or is it simply a story, passed down through the ages, woven into the fabric of myth? Our journey into the mystery of Atlantis begins with the ancient Greek philosopher Plato. Around 360 BCE, Plato wrote two famous dialogues, Timaeus and Critias, in which he described the mighty city of Atlantis. According to Plato, Atlantis existed over 9,000 years before his time, beyond the Pillars of Hercules, which we now know as the Strait of Gibraltar. It was a vast island, larger than Libya and Asia combined, and was home to a utopian society where the inhabitants lived in harmony with one another, with nature, and with the gods. Plato's tale begins with the gods dividing the world among themselves. Atlantis was given to Poseidon, the god of the sea, who settled on the island with his mortal wife, Cleito. Poseidon and Cleito had 5 sets of twin sons, and the eldest, Atlas, became the first king of the island. Under his rule and that of his descendants, Atlantis flourished as a great empire, one that extended its influence far beyond its borders. The story of Atlantis, as told by Plato, was part of a philosophical discourse. It was meant to illustrate the dangers of hubris, or excessive pride, and the eventual downfall of civilizations that lose their way. But even as a philosophical allegory, the vivid details Plato provided about the city, its architecture, its culture, and its sudden destruction, have sparked centuries of speculation. Was there truth hidden in this myth? Chapter 2. The Marvels of Atlantis. According to Plato, Atlantis was a city of unparalleled beauty and technological achievement. The island was said to be rich in natural resources, with an abundance of metals such as copper, gold, and the mysterious orichalcum, a reddish metal mentioned in only a few ancient texts. Orichalcum was believed to be even more valuable than gold, and was used to adorn the temples and palaces of Atlantis, making the city sparkle in the sunlight. The Atlanteans built their capital city in a series of concentric rings, alternating between land and water. At the center stood the Acropolis, where the grandest structures were located, including the Palace of the Kings and the Temple of Poseidon. This temple, a wonder in its own right, was covered in silver on the outside, with pinnacles of gold. Inside, the roof was made of ivory, adorned with gold, silver, and orichalcum. At the heart of the temple was a colossal statue of Poseidon, riding a chariot drawn by winged horses. Imagine standing before this temple, its towering walls gleaming in the sunlight, the sea breeze gently stirring the air. The sounds of bustling markets echo around you, the scent of salt water mixed with the rich aromas of exotic spices and flowers. The canals, which crisscross the city, sparkle with clear, fresh water, connecting the different rings of Atlantis and creating a web of life that sustains the entire island. But Atlantis wasn't just known for its beauty. The Atlanteans were master engineers, and they used their knowledge to create an elaborate system of canals and bridges that connected the different parts of the city and facilitated trade. The island's fertile plains were irrigated by these canals, producing bountiful harvests of fruits, vegetables, and grains, which fed not only the population but also the vast empire that Atlantis controlled. The city itself was a hub of knowledge and learning, a center of philosophy, mathematics, and astronomy. Scholars from across the world were said to have traveled to Atlantis to study its advanced technologies and teachings. The streets were lined with libraries, academies, and grand public buildings, while art and music filled the air in a society that thrived on culture and intellectual achievement. Chapter 3. Atlantis in Plato's Dialogues. Plato's account of Atlantis is found primarily in his works Timaeus and Critias. In Timaeus, Plato introduces Atlantis as a powerful naval empire that ruled all parts of the known world beyond the Pillars of Hercules. The story, according to Plato, was passed down through generations, originating from Egyptian records that detailed the history of a great civilization. In the dialogue, Critias recounts how Solon, a lawmaker of Athens, visited Egypt and learned from the priests there about a mighty empire that once sought to conquer Europe and Asia. Atlantis was larger than Libya and Asia combined, a land of great wealth and influence. But after an ill-fated attempt to conquer ancient Athens, the empire fell out of favor with the gods and was ultimately submerged into the Atlantic Ocean, lost forever beneath the waves. Plato's description of Atlantis was not just a story of power and ambition, but also a way to reflect on his concept of an ideal state, as outlined in his work The Republic. In many ways, Atlantis was the counter-image to Athens, which Plato portrayed as the ideal society. While Athens was based on virtue and wisdom, Atlantis became corrupted by its greed and ambition, leading to its downfall. In Critias, Plato goes into even greater detail describing the geography, governance, and societal structure of Atlantis. The city was ruled by kings who descended from Poseidon, and each of the 10 kings governed a portion of the island. Atlantis was a confederation of kings who worked together to rule their vast empire, but their unity would eventually crumble as they succumbed to the temptations of power. Chapter 4. The Rise of a Powerful Empire. Beyond its advanced infrastructure, Atlantis became known for its dominance over the seas. The Atlanteans, as described by Plato, possessed a powerful navy, with ships that sailed far and wide, reaching distant lands and establishing colonies. This naval power enabled Atlantis to control vast territories, extending its influence into parts of Europe, Africa, and possibly beyond. During this time, Atlantis was a beacon of wealth and knowledge, but with power came ambition. The Atlanteans grew more aggressive in their expansionist pursuits. What had once been a harmonious and peaceful society began to shift as they sought control over new territories and wealth. Atlantis, which had once been admired for its virtues, began to impose its dominance over others. Plato described how the Atlanteans turned from their moral and ethical roots, becoming increasingly corrupt as they amassed more power and riches. The Atlantean Empire, at the height of its power, was unparalleled. No other civilization could rival its technological advancements, its naval strength, or the reach of its influence. But this quest for dominance would soon sow the seeds of its own destruction. Chapter 5. The Fall of Atlantis. As Plato tells the story, the gods, particularly Zeus, grew displeased with the Atlanteans' growing hubris. In their arrogance, the Atlanteans believed they could expand their empire without consequence. They grew indifferent to the gods, no longer offering the reverence and respect that they once did. Atlantis, once a society built on harmony and virtue, had become consumed by greed and ambition. The gods decided that Atlantis would be punished for its moral decay. According to Plato, the destruction of Atlantis came swiftly. In a single day and night, the entire island was swallowed by the sea. Massive earthquakes shook the island, while volcanic eruptions spewed molten lava across the land. The ocean rose in a violent wave, consuming the once great city and leaving nothing behind but a watery grave. Imagine the scene. The once bustling streets are now empty, as the earth beneath the city trembles and cracks open. The canals, which once carried life-giving water, overflow as the sea surges inward, swallowing the magnificent palaces and temples. The sky darkens, filled with ash and smoke, and the very foundation of Atlantis crumbles. In the blink of an eye, the mighty empire disappears beneath the waves, lost to time. Plato's vivid description of Atlantis's fall left a lasting impression on readers, not just for the dramatic nature of its destruction, but for the moral lesson it conveyed. The story of Atlantis is one of hubris, and the consequences of losing sight of what is truly important. Chapter 6. The Search for Atlantis. For centuries, scholars and explorers have pondered the question, was Atlantis a real place? For some, the story is purely allegorical, a cautionary tale meant to teach lessons about human nature and the dangers of excessive pride. But for others, the detailed descriptions provided by Plato suggest that there could be some truth hidden within the myth. Throughout history, numerous locations have been proposed as the possible site of Atlantis. Some scholars believe that the Minoan civilization, which flourished on the island of Crete and nearby Santorini, could be the inspiration for the Atlantis myth. The Minoans were an advanced civilization with incredible architecture and trade networks, but they were wiped out after the eruption of the Thera volcano, which caused a massive tsunami. This disaster bears a striking resemblance to Plato's account of Atlantis's destruction. Other theories place Atlantis in various parts of the Mediterranean, including Sardinia, Sicily, and Cyprus. Some explorers have looked even farther afield, suggesting that Atlantis could have been located in the Caribbean or near the coast of Spain. Chapter 7. Atlantis as a Symbol. Perhaps the true legacy of Atlantis lies not in whether it existed physically, but in the story itself. Atlantis has become a symbol of the rise and fall of civilizations, a reminder of the fragility of even the most powerful empires. It represents humanity's continual quest for knowledge, progress, and power, and the potential dangers that come with losing sight of balance and humility. Atlantis serves as a cautionary tale, not just for Plato's contemporaries but for all generations that followed. Its story has resonated through the ages, transcending time and culture, and has been retold in literature, art, and philosophy. It reminds us that even the most advanced societies can crumble if they lose their moral compass. The allure of Atlantis is not simply in its technological wonders or its wealth, but in its lessons about the dangers of greed and unchecked ambition. In many ways, Atlantis represents both our dreams and our fears. The dream of creating a perfect society where knowledge and prosperity abound, and the fear that this paradise can be easily lost if we are not vigilant in maintaining our values and principles. Chapter 8. The mystery endures. Despite centuries of speculation, no definitive proof of Atlantis has ever been found. Yet the mystery endures. Atlantis has captured the imagination of explorers, scholars, and dreamers alike. From the Renaissance through the Age of Discovery, and even into modern times, people have searched for the lost city, hoping to uncover its secrets buried beneath the sea. Perhaps the true power of Atlantis lies in its mystery. The idea of a lost city, hidden beneath the waves, evokes a sense of wonder and possibility. It speaks to our desire to explore the unknown, to uncover forgotten knowledge, and to solve the mysteries of the past. In a world where so much has been discovered, Atlantis remains one of the few enigmas that continue to elude us, offering the tantalizing promise that there is always more to learn, more to explore, and more to dream. Imagine standing on the shore, gazing out over the vast, endless ocean. Somewhere, beneath the waves, the remnants of Atlantis may still rest, undisturbed for millennia. Perhaps one day the lost city will be found, its ruins revealing the secrets of its civilization. Or perhaps it will remain a legend, a story that continues to inspire and captivate us for generations to come. Chapter 9. A Legacy of Exploration. Atlantis has left an indelible mark on history, influencing literature, art, and even science. Writers from Sir Thomas More to Francis Bacon have drawn upon the myth of Atlantis in their visions of utopia. In the 19th and 20th centuries, explorers and adventurers like Ignatius Donnelly and Edgar Cayce fueled renewed interest in the search for lost continents, connecting Atlantis to ancient cultures such as the Mayans and Egyptians. Modern theories have placed Atlantis in locations as diverse as the Mediterranean, the Caribbean, Antarctica, and even the far northern reaches of Europe. Some believe Atlantis could have been a real place, now hidden by natural disasters like volcanic eruptions or tsunamis. Others see it as a symbol of human aspiration and a cautionary tale about the dangers of excess and hubris. Regardless of its physical existence, the story of Atlantis reminds us of the cyclical nature of civilizations, how they rise and fall, how they achieve great things, and how they can be undone by their own flaws. It is a story that speaks to our shared human experience, one that continues to resonate across time and cultures. Chapter 10. The Eternal Quest. As you close your eyes and drift off to sleep, imagine the stillness of the deep ocean, where the lost city of Atlantis may rest in eternal silence. Its grand palaces, majestic temples, and gleaming towers lie hidden beneath the waves, untouched for thousands of years. The sea, vast and mysterious, keeps its secrets well. But the story of Atlantis is not just one of loss, it is also a story of hope, of the eternal quest for knowledge and understanding. It reminds us that the pursuit of truth is a journey without end, one that calls us to keep searching, to keep dreaming, and to never stop exploring. Whether Atlantis is real or myth, it continues to inspire the human imagination. Its legacy lives on in the hearts of those who believe in the possibility of discovery, in the excitement of adventure, and in the pursuit of something greater than themselves. So, as you drift into peaceful slumber, let the waves of the ocean carry you into a world of mystery and wonder. Atlantis may be lost, but its story will forever endure, inviting dreamers and explorers to seek out the unknown, to imagine what could be, and to believe that there is always more to discover. Good night.